Up next, we have women's division match with the NWA World Title on the line.
Killer Bay Heather Monroe squares off against one of the toughest women professional wrestling has ever seen. And if you don't believe me, just watch this.
Dan Joseph, I don't know if Heather Monroe knows what she's in for right now.
Well, listen, there's so many people that want that title. There's so many people that have had their shot, and Jazz has just beaten them all. But I don't know if she's come up against somebody as smart and as prepared as a Heather Monroe.
Heather Monroe did beat a former NWA World's Women's Champion in Barbie Hayden in Wenzhou, China, so she might be up to the task, but good luck. I gotta believe that the butterflies start when this has gotta be so intimidating, being in the ring and watching this entrance of the female fighting phenom, the champion, Jazz.
And you just see how Jazz is methodically pacing around the ring. She knows exactly what she's doing. 2 decades in professional wrestling. She has put so many opponents to sleep. And you see the stare of Heather Monroe right now. I don't know if she's intimidated or focused. Either way, this is going to be something else.
Jazz mentioned it in a recent interview, responding to the comments of Heather Monroe saying, just like fine wine, I get better over time. That certainly has seemed to be the case as we get ready to set the stage. You get a good look at the champ.
Oh yeah, she's focused all right. Monroe looks unflappable though.
If she's intimidated, she is not showing it.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the NWA World Women's Championship. Introducing first the challenger. She is the Killer Bay, Heather Monroe. And introducing the champion. From New Orleans, Louisiana, she is the NWA World Women's Champion, Jazz.
Adnan Qureshi setting the stage. There you see what it's all about. Title that she's held since September of 2016.
No doubt defeating Amber O'Neal almost 2.5 years ago. But Heather Monroe has earned this title shot. There's no doubt about that.
There you see what it's all about. First of 2 big title matches on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. The NWA World's Women's Championship up for grabs. There you get a good look at the challenger, the Killer Bay, Heather Monroe, taking on the champion, Jazz, who, as you mentioned, has had a death grip on the title. Bell has sounded, and we are set for action. What can the challenger do, Dan, to nullify the size and strength and experience of Jazz?
Yeah, she's got to find a way to get Jazz off her game. She can't compete with the power.
Heather Monroe is a submission specialist, though. Of course, she has the 7-year stretch that has made many opponents tap. But Jazz is already the 4th longest reigning NWA World Women's Champion of all time. That's incredible.
Really is. And speaking of submissions, Jazz known to put people away with an STF as well, showing her wrestling acumen. There is the champion. So back to square one in this one. Recent big title defenses for champion Jazz back at NWA 70 over Penelope Ford. Recently at the NWA pop-up event over Allie.
Well, no, actually, some would look at that as a bit of a slip-up. Jazz flat out attacked the referee and got disqualified. Many people think it's just that's the attitude of Jazz. Some people think Allie was posing too much of a challenge and Jazz didn't want to deal with it anymore.
A win's a win.
Well, it wasn't a win. It was a loss by disqualification, but fact of the matter, she remains champion.
Your small picture in this. Big picture, she kept the belt. It's a win.
And right here on Hollywood, perhaps Heather Monroe really well-versed to take on someone like Jazz because as of late she had a vendetta with a very tough, big, strong competitor in Aoka Muhara. So perhaps training for this like never before is Heather Monroe trying to keep the champion close here with this side headlock.
And one thing about Heather Monroe, she never gets overwhelmed. there's never any moment that's too big for her. So believe me when I say she can be the most vindictive competitor you'll ever come across, regardless of how powerful Jazz is, regardless of how violent she is.
Ooh.
Don't underestimate Heather Monroe.
The strength of that headlock, keeping it locked on.
Heather Monroe showing some strength, tenacity in her own right. And I'd go one step further. Vindictive, yes, Johnny. Also, no shortcut that Heather Monroe is not willing to take. But the veteran Jazz has seen just about everything in her decorated career. So this is an interesting matchup for certain with the gold on the line.
Yes, she has. And, you know, Jazz, it almost appears to me as she's kind of just eyeing up Heather Monroe. She's kind of measuring her up a little bit, just waiting for her time to strike. But Heather Monroe staying on her feet there.
Yeah, I mean, the strength going to Jazz, but not much of a size advantage in and of itself. Whoa.
Things getting pretty chippy here, guys, between champion and challenger. Heather better watch that bravado, that confidence in there with Jazz. And I think Jazz, after the words of Heather Monroe, out to teach Monroe a lesson, much like former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion Tim Storm did to Peter Avalon.
Well, he did teach Peter Avalon a lesson, but Peter Avalon still has more victories over Tim Storm, so that's a fair argument.
Shallow victories at best. Championship matchup continuing here. There you see the power. Explosive. Like a defensive lineman coming out of his stance into the backfield looking for the sack, and you can see the effects there. Look at the shoulder. Just about got ripped off there of the challenger.
Well, Jazz has a low center of gravity, and she's so incredibly powerful.
She can't get too confident. I mean, she's well prepared for every match that she goes in. There's been a few times, big hit, big move, and Jazz has given Heather a little bit of time, letting her breathe in that pain. I don't know if I would give her that much room and space. Not somebody as clever as Heather.
Like you said, Todd, there's no rule that Heather Monroe won't break. There's no body part she won't try to snap. But then again, she's dealing with Jazz, who's been champion for almost 900 days.
Well, and we talked about the seeming cockiness and overconfidence of Heather Monroe, who cinches in a nice hammerlock here. Do you think that perhaps the champion coming in a little overconfident as well?
It's very possible. Oh, wait a minute. Utilizing that body weight.
When you've been champion as long as Jazz has, it is tough to not be
into the cover now. Ooh. Yeah, but at some point, are you ripe for the picking as Jazz now goes for the cover again and showing some great amateur wrestling skills?
You're thinking this might be a sleeper match? Nice win, maybe?
Well, maybe if Heather gets displays those submission skills that Johnny LaQuasto documented, but right now, you got to admit, it's been fairly even since the opening bell. Into a bit of a gator roll, floats over into a cover as the champion. Nicely done. Right back to that front face lock, north-south position.
Yeah, Heather's going to have to get some separation. She can't compete with the strength of Jazz.
Jazz has never had a loss for confidence, but following the NWA pop-up where she got disqualified, maybe she's starting to second-guess herself a little bit. You know, Jazz has been around prior to this whole new generation, this whole new wave of talent coming in women's wrestling, and so you wonder if the walls are starting to close in on Jazz a little bit.
But did Jazz get disqualified by hitting the official because she was overly aggressive, or to your point, maybe because she knew she was in trouble? I don't think so. I don't think the champion backs down from a fight.
She's not backing down, but Allie is incredible. She's one of the best wrestlers on the planet. Maybe she had Jazz's number that day, much like Heather Monroe might right now.
Speaking of, the champ is rocked that big kick as Jazz was not able to protect herself.
7-year stretch. She's got it.
New champ.
She has the bridge.
History might be made right here in Hollywood after the nearly 2.5-year reign. Could it be coming to an end?
Look at Jazz. Incredible ring awareness, getting the foot on the bottom rope. And the frustration being let out by Monroe.
That's instincts right there. Nicely done by Jazz, but again, desperation that we're not used to seeing by the physically dominant Jazz.
Geez.
And now a leverage maneuver to take Heather Monroe to the outside. So a little bit more of a cagey and crafty Jazz that we're used to seeing outside of just pure physical dominance, gentlemen.
Hey, she'll do whatever she has to do to keep that title, as evidenced by what she did at the pop-up. She doesn't care where she's at. She doesn't care that she came to Hollywood. The title is what matters to her.
This is not where you want to be. Speaking of Heather Monroe, where you're just getting a clubbing here, courtesy of the world's women's champion on the outside. Again, title can only change hands inside the ring by pinfall or submission. And the veteran rolling in there to break the count to dish out some more punishment on the challenger.
Yeah, Heather's got to get back into that ring. not only for some separation, but she just cannot go strike for strike like that with Jazz.
Jazz going to work, just turning this thing into a slugfest, which I gotta believe certainly favors the champion, Johnny.
There's no question about it. Jazz is incredibly powerful, sending Monroe right into the steps. Once again, that left shoulder that she attacked earlier in the match.
Jazz spent a long time in the land of extreme, going extreme here with the NWA World's Women's Championship on the line. You talk about the vindictive nature of Heather Monroe, the challenger. We're seeing that by the champion as well. Win at all costs.
I gotta say, I'm a little bit surprised that Jazz even sent Heather Monroe back in the ring. She clearly doesn't care where she does damage to her opponents. She wouldn't even care if she got counted out or disqualified.
Ooh. We see the peppering the challenger now with these jabs.
Look out.
Throwing hands. Nobody home there, though. Oh, man, makes her eat defeat, but will she get the victory? Desperation now. Look at this, trying to capitalize. Is the challenger? No, only a count of 2.
You saw the momentum. She bounced off the ropes. Heather Monroe wasted no time with that pin, but only a 2 count.
Door cracked open. Heather Monroe tried to kick it down.
Went for the Michinoku driver, but Jazz reversing it.
Look out here in that launch position.
Could
Gets
it be?
so much velocity into the Jazz stinger.
Dead center of the ring. Jazz hooks the leg, and the champion retains.
Whew.
Here is your winner, and still NWA World Women's Champion, Jazz.
Over the years, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Jazz gets it done. Successful World's Women's Championship defense right here on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Our main event is coming up. We'll be right back.
Join us for a special tribute to the career and legacy of superstar Bill Dundee. Sunday, September 20th at Growlers. VIP tickets include custom superstar face mask and t-shirt. Along with a special Q&A, you'll be treated to a special screening of Bill's new movie, Screecher. That's Sunday, September 20th at Growlers in Memphis. Limited tickets on sale now at ChampionshipWrestlingMemphis.com.